Hello everyone, my name is Balaji Kadambi. I am a solution architect at the IBM India Software Labs. Today we are going to go over the code pattern, determine target audience and run marketing campaigns. The code for this pattern is available at github.com/IBM /run campaigns target customers. A business runs marketing campaigns to promote products with the objective of boosting revenues. So it's important that the campaign is directed at the right target audience so that it can lead to increase in purchases and thereby boost revenues. So what happens if a campaign is not targeted at the right audience? There can be two effects to it. When a customer receives a campaign that's not relevant, the customer tends to ignore the campaign. The more such irrelevant campaigns a customer receives, in future, even if the right campaign is sent to the customer, it can get ignored. So that's why it's important to determine the right target audience for all our marketing campaigns. That brings us to two steps to running a marketing campaign. The first step is to identify the right target audience. The target audience can be determined by analyzing the purchases and browsing history of customers, social media posts, reviews, product reviews, and other data sources. So once we analyze the data from all these sources, it will help us identify customers who could be interested in a product. After we identify the target audience, we run campaigns across various channels like email, SMS, phone, social media on the target audience. For this code pattern, we have considered only customer purchase data. So we have customer purchase data across various product categories. So we have limited the analysis to just canned foods in this code pattern. And on the marketing campaign, we have limited to just the email campaign for this code pattern. So looking at the customer purchase data, we can see that we have customer details. We have the customer purchase details for the canned foods category. So we analyze this data and then we come up with three parameters for all the customers for canned foods. So we come up with the frequency, recency and monetary value of purchases in the canned foods category for all the customers. Once we have this, we have taken the top 5 customers with respect to the monetary value as the target audience. Now the criteria for deciding the target audience could vary based on the requirements and the use case scenario. So in this code pattern, we have taken the top 5 customers with respect to the monetary value. So once we have the target audience, then we run an email campaign for canned foods for the top 5 customers that we identified. So in order to build this solution, we require two tools. We require an analytics tool, we require a campaign automation tool. So we have chosen Watson Studio as the analytics tool and Watson Campaign Automation as the campaign automation tool for this code pattern. So let us briefly see what Watson Studio and what Watson Campaign Automation are. So Watson Studio is the analytics platform from IBM. It has the ability to connect to various data sources. It can connect to various RDBMS databases. It can connect to document storage like IBM Cloud Object Storage. It can get data from all these sources and analyze them using R, Python or Scala models and get insights out of them. So for this code pattern, we have stored the customer purchase data in Cloud Object Storage. It is accessed inside Python code, which is again inside a Jupyter Notebook hosted on Watson Studio. So we analyze all the customer purchase data. We come up with the target audience. We have provided the integration code between Watson Studio and Watson Campaign Automation in this code pattern. So once we come up with the target audience, then the target audience is sent to the Watson Campaign Automation, and in Watson Campaign Automation, we run an email campaign on the target audience. Now, what is Watson Campaign Automation? Watson Campaign Automation is a digital marketing automation platform, and you can send marketing campaigns through various channels like email, web, mobile apps, SMS, social, group messaging, and more. So once a user has completed this pattern, they will understand how to create and run a Jupyter Notebook in Watson Studio, use object storage to access the data files, So in this code pattern, we have stored the customer purchase data in object storage. Then use Python pandas to derive insights and come up with a target audience based on the customer purchase data. Finally, integrate with Watson Campaign Automation to run a campaign on the target audience. The intended audience for this code pattern are developers and data scientists who want to build an end-to-end marketing campaign solution for a business. Let us briefly go over the architectural flow for this code pattern. The object storage has the data, the customer purchase data. It is accessed inside the Jupyter Notebook hosted on Watson Studio. So the Jupyter Notebook processes the data and generates the target audience. The target audience information is then sent to Watson Campaign Automation to run an email campaign. So the README file in the GitHub repository has detailed steps to set up and run this code pattern. I would recommend everyone to go over each of these steps and then see the end solution work. So let me briefly talk about the different steps in the README. The first step is gives instructions to sign up for Watson Studio. The steps from 2 to 5 talks about all the configuration that we need to do in Watson Campaign Automation to run an email campaign for canned foods. So step 2 talks about creating a contacts database. The contacts database will have all the customer information. Step 3 talks about the campaign contact list. So whenever we want to run a campaign, we need to create a contact list for that campaign. So step 3 talks about creating a campaign contact list for canned foods. Next, in step 4, we talk about creation of a campaign mailing template. So when we want to send an email, we would require a mailing template. So step 4 talks about creation of a campaign mailing template in Watson Campaign Automation. So once that is done, we need to access Watson Campaign Automation from Watson Studio. So step 5 talks about configuring application access in Watson Campaign Automation. So once this is done, you get a client ID, client secret, and refresh token. So this can be used inside Watson Studio to generate an access token and helps send the target audience to Watson Campaign Automation to run the email campaign. Step 6 talks about creation of a notebook in Watson Studio. So we have actually provided the Jupyter Notebook under the notebooks folder on the GitHub repository. This notebook can be imported into Watson Studio. Once done, in step 7, we go ahead and add the data to Cloud Object Storage. So this can be done right inside the Watson Studio environment. We can go ahead and add the customer purchase data into the Cloud Object Storage. So step 7 has details on how to do it. In step 8, we update the notebook with service credentials. So we update it with credentials to access object storage so that we can download the file from object storage in our Jupyter Notebook, and then we can analyze that data to generate the target audience. In step 9, we described how you could set up the Watson Campaign Automation URLs for access and also the credentials. So once we set this up, we can send the target audience to Watson Campaign Automation to add the contacts to the campaign campaign list as well as the database, and then run the email campaign on the target audience. Step 10 talks about how to run the Jupyter Notebook inside the Watson Studio. So once the Jupyter Notebook is run, it analyzes the data, the customer purchase data, comes up with the target audience, and then it sends the target audience to Watson Campaign Automation and an email is generated. So in step 11, we describe the email that is getting sent. So let's go down and see how the email looks like. So this email is sent to all the customers that have been identified as the target audience. So the customer gets an email like this, and we can see it's a 30% off on all canned foods. So since we are sending it to the right target audience, so there might be many customers in the target audience who are interested in this offer, and then they can go ahead and click on buy now to buy the product. So I would recommend all of you to go over all the steps listed in the README and set up and deploy this code pattern. In case you have any issues or any questions, please report them in the issues section on the GitHub repository. We will revert back to you as soon as possible. Happy coding and thanks for listening.